Hold on. I didn't do anything wrong. I warned you. Now you'll pay the price. Atlanta. 93-year-old veteran Joseph Joe Callahan sits quietly at the bus stop. His hand grips a bamboo cane. His pilot's badge glimmers. Just minutes later, a police officer uses a taser. It brings him crashing down. Why would a World War II hero be treated so cruelly? And what happens when black SUVs flood the neighborhood just 6 minutes later? Darkness descends? This story will leave you stunned. All right, my dear audience, get ready for a story that'll blow your mind. Take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly connect with what I'm putting out here. And drop a comment below to let me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. It's always thrilling to see someone joining us from all corners of the world. Joseph Callahan, known as Joe. He steps into his final years with a frail frame. His shoulders still carry the proud bearing of a pilot who flew B-24 bombers through the fiery Pacific skies of World War II. At 93, his eyes are dim, yet his gaze remains sharp, as if holding the memories of 32 missions, staring death in the face. The Air Force Cross, a symbol of his bravery. It's the pride he carries in his heart. Though his body now bears the weight of time, chronic back pain, a weakened heart, and trembling fingers that shake each time he grips his old bamboo cane. The worn woolen coat, a gift knitted by his late wife Anna 3 decades ago. It wraps around his frame like a warm embrace from the past. Every Wednesday and Friday, Joe boards bus number 19 from suburban Atlanta to the Veterans Hospital. There he checks on his health. He finds some comfort in chats with the nurses. The bus stop on Peachtree Road, it's his familiar spot. There he sits quietly. The small pilot's badge pinned to his collar glimmers, a reminder of the days he soared through the line between life and death. But that afternoon, Joe's fragile peace shatters. A young police officer, Ryan Carter, approaches with suspicious eyes. He pulls Joe into an unthinkable nightmare. In Joe's mind, each bus ride is a small journey, a way to cling to the little freedom he has left. Sitting on the cold metal bench, he often smiles at old memories, the roar of the B-24's engines, sleepless nights before missions, Anna's smile when he returned from the war. The pilot's badge, though small, it's proof of his courage, yet also a reminder of comrades forever left in the skies. Old age doesn't make Joe bitter. He accepts the pains, the slow steps, as the price of a life well lived. But when Ryan Carter, a 27-year-old officer with a tense face, stands before him, Joe senses a wave of unease. Carter, hands poised near his taser. He looks at Joe like a threat. In the young officer's mind, the pressure of the job and lack of experience cloud his judgment. He doesn't see a war hero, only an old man sitting quietly, perhaps a suspect in a restless neighborhood. Joe, with the calm forged over decades. He looks up at Carter. He's not afraid, but his heart beats faster, not from worry, but from a familiar feeling, the sting of being misjudged, like the days he faced doubt in the military for his youth and background. When Carter demands ID, Joe slowly reaches into his coat. His trembling fingers struggle with the worn leather wallet. Every move is careful, not just because of age, but because he knows the danger of moving recklessly before an armed man. But Carter, driven by impatience and rigid training, he doesn't see it. In his mind, Joe's slowness signals defiance, the bamboo cane, a potential threat. Carter's overconfidence, fed by hours of unrealistic training, it blinds him to the truth. The man before him is a living symbol of courage. When Carter shouts for Joe to get on the ground, a sharp pain grips his chest. Not from fear, but from helplessness. His body, frail after so many years, it can't comply with such an absurd command. Joe's heart races. Memories of facing danger flood back. But this time, he has no plane to pilot, no comrades to lean on. He tries to explain. His voice trembles but clear. He's just a veteran waiting for the bus. But Carter, caught in a rush of adrenaline and an obsession with control, he doesn't listen. He raises the taser, his eyes cold. Joe barely thinks of Anna, of the promises he kept when 50,000 volts tear through his body. He collapses. The pilot's badge falls from his collar. It rolls on the sidewalk like a silent accusation. Pain surges through him, but in Joe's mind, the greatest hurt isn't from the shock. It's the insult to the dignity he's upheld his entire life. Lying on the cold pavement, Joe's breaths come heavy. Anna's image appears. Her gentle smile seems to soothe him. He reaches for the badge, not to reclaim it, but to hold on to what's left of himself. Around him, bystanders' shouts ring out, but they're just faint noise. In that moment, Joe doesn't hate Carter. He's just sad. Sad that a younger generation doesn't grasp the value of what he and his comrades sacrificed. But deep down, Joe still believes the truth will speak. He doesn't know that minutes later. Phones capturing this scene will ignite a firestorm on social media, pulling the nation into his story. The Peachtree Road bus stop, where Joe once sat quietly. It now becomes the heart of a fight for justice, where the resilience of a 93-year-old veteran will reshape how America sees its aging heroes. Ryan Carter, 27 years old. He carries the fiery passion of a patrol officer 3 years into his career at the Atlanta Police Department. Raised in an affluent suburb, he enters law enforcement with the confidence of youth, yet he lacks deep understanding of the elderly or veterans. Pressure from superiors weighs heavy on his shoulders. It pushes him to prove himself in the Peachtree Road area. Crime rates are climbing there. In Carter's mind, every patrol shift is a chance to assert authority. But brief training sessions didn't teach him to see into the heart of someone like Joseph Callahan. That afternoon, as Carter's patrol car glides past the bus stop, he spots Joe, a 93-year-old man sitting quietly. His hand grips a bamboo cane, his demeanor pensive. To Carter, this image feels off. An elderly man, alone, at this hour, it seems like a sign of trouble. A surge of adrenaline rises. It's mixed with suspicion fueled by unrealistic training. Without hesitation, he stops the car, steps out with a rigid stride. His hand hovers near his taser. He's ready to confront what he deems a threat. In Carter's heart, confidence overshadows any doubt. He looks at Joe, but he doesn't truly see him. He doesn't see the shoulders that once bore the weight of a World War II pilot. He doesn't see the resolute eyes that faced death. Instead, Carter sees only an old man with a cane, an image that doesn't fit the safe picture he's trained to protect. His voice rings out, cold and sharp. He demands Joe explain his presence. Joe, with the calm forged through decades of facing danger, looks up at the young officer. In his heart, a flicker of unease passes, not from fear, but from the sting of being misunderstood. A feeling he knew from his military days. He says he's just waiting for the bus to the hospital. His voice, slow, clear, as if to ease the unseen tension. But Carter, swept up in the pressure to act fast, doesn't listen. He demands ID, his eyes locked on Joe's every move. Joe carefully reaches into his coat pocket. His trembling fingers, frail with age, fumble with the worn leather wallet. Each movement is slow, not just from a weakened body, but because he knows any careless action could be misread. But in Carter's mind, this slowness signals defiance. The bamboo cane in Joe's hand becomes a potential threat. He feels his pulse quicken, partly from adrenaline, partly from a vague fear that he might be facing something dangerous. Training flashes through his head, warnings that any object could be a weapon, that hesitation isn't an option. But he wasn't taught to distinguish between a mobility aid and a threat. He wasn't taught to read the pain in the eyes of a man who sacrificed everything. Carter's patience runs dry. He shouts, his voice brimming with authority. He orders Joe to get on the ground. In that moment, Joe feels a sharp pain in his chest, not just from his frail heart, but from the deep insult to the dignity he's upheld his entire life. He tries to explain. His voice trembles but firm. His body can't comply with such a command. The image of his late wife, Anna, flashes through his mind, as if urging him to stay calm. But Carter, caught in a storm of adrenaline and an obsession with control, has no room for reason. He raises the taser, his eyes icy, his finger tightens on the trigger. A 50,000-volt surge rips through Joe's body. He collapses onto the sidewalk. His frail frame convulses. The pilot's badge falls from his collar. It rolls across the pavement like a silent accusation. Pain courses through him. But in Joe's mind, the greatest wound is the humiliation. The humiliation from a generation that doesn't grasp what he sacrificed. Lying on the cold pavement, Joe gasps for breath, each inhale a battle. Anna's image appears. Her gentle smile seems to pull him back. He reaches for the badge, not to reclaim it, but to cling to what remains of himself. Around him, bystanders' shouts echo, but to Joe, they're just faint noise. He doesn't hate Carter. He doesn't resent him. In his heart, there's only sorrow. Sorrow that a moment of misunderstanding can erase the value of a lifetime's dedication. But deep down, Joe believes the truth will speak. He doesn't know that, seconds later, phones capturing this scene will shake America. They'll turn the Peachtree Road bus stop into the heart of a fight for justice. There, his resilience will become a beacon of light. Maria Lopez, a small shop clerk near the Peachtree Road bus stop. She stands frozen. She watches Joseph Callahan, a 93-year-old man, collapse under the electric surge of Officer Ryan Carter's taser. In that moment, Maria's heart pounds, not just from the injustice before her, but from the pain of someone who's seen her own grandparents forgotten by time. Her hands tremble. She raises her phone. She records Joe convulsing on the sidewalk. His pilot's badge lies abandoned nearby. It's a silent accusation. Maria's action isn't just reflex. It's a deep urge. She wants the world to know. She wants someone to speak for the man she barely knows but senses is noble. Her video, uploaded to social media, it spreads like wildfire. It sparks hashtags like #justice for veterans and #elder-abuse. It awakens the fury of millions. Other bystanders, drawn by Carter's shouts and Joe's faint moans, they pull out their phones too. They create a mosaic of angles capturing the painful truth. In Maria's heart, this isn't just an incident. She feels a shared pain, as if Joe were her own grandfather, a symbol of the elderly dismissed by society. When she calls 911, her voice chokes, each word strangled by anger and helplessness. She tells the dispatcher she describes a harmless old man, just waiting for his bus, attacked without reason. Every word from Maria is a fight to keep Joe in the light, to ensure he's not forgotten as a nameless figure. On social media, Her video racks up thousands of shares, especially when someone spots the glinting pilot's badge in the footage. Details of Joe's heroic past, a World War II pilot with 32 missions, spread. They transform him from a victim into a symbol of trampled courage. The online community erupts, not just over Carter's cruelty, but over the collective pain of a hero treated like a criminal. Meanwhile, an ambulance arrives quietly. It cuts through the chaos. Emily Nguyen, a young paramedic. She kneels beside Joe. Her heart tightens as she sees his frail body still trembling from the shock. Emily, who's cared for many veterans. She senses Joe's fragility, yet she sees in his eyes an unbreakable strength. She gently checks his vitals. Her hands shake as she realizes the danger. A 93-year-old with a weak heart might not survive. While searching Joe's wallet for medical info, Emily finds an unusual card. It's not a family contact. It's for Colonel Susan Rivera, a high-ranking Pentagon official tasked with protecting decorated World War II veterans. In that moment, Emily feels a jolt, not from a taser, but from the realization that this incident won't stay in Atlanta. She dials the number, her voice steady but urgent. She reports Joe's condition. On the other end, Colonel Susan Rivera sits in her Washington, D.C. office. The call comes through. In her heart, every veteran like Joe is a living treasure, an irreplaceable story. Hearing of Joe's attack, Rivera's heart clenches. She knows Joe, not just from files, but from meetings, from the steadfast look in his eyes when he spoke of Pacific missions. This isn't just cruelty. It's a stain on the legacy of men like Joe. Rivera doesn't hesitate. She activates emergency protocols. She contacts the FBI, the Justice Department, and the Secretary of Defense. Emily's brief call. It marks a turning point. It transforms a bus stop incident into a national issue. Rivera feels a heavy duty, not just to save Joe, but to protect the dignity of remaining veterans. Back at the bus stop, a crowd gathers, whispers mix with outrage. Bystanders, from street vendors to office workers, they can't believe a harmless old man was treated this way. In their hearts, Joe becomes a symbol of loved ones, grandparents, who deserve respect, not insult. Maria's video, now with millions of views, it's more than evidence. It's a call to action. It unites strangers, from Atlanta to across America, in a shared mission: justice for Joe. This is no longer just one man's story at a bus stop. It becomes a flame, ready to burn away injustices long hidden. Dear audience, take a moment to relax, grab a glass of water, then keep listening to this story. The twists are still ahead. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from, what time it is for you. It's always exciting to see someone join us from all corners of the world. Comment 1 if you find this story gripping. It'll push us to bring you more stories like this. Colonel Susan Rivera, a military lawyer with silver-streaked hair and piercing eyes. She sits in a Washington, D.C. meeting room. Her phone buzzes with an urgent alert. Her heart, seasoned by tense situations, it tightens when she hears of Joseph Callahan, Joe, one of 10 living recipients of the Air Force Cross, a World War II veteran under special federal protection. To Rivera, Joe isn't just a name in a file. She's met him. She's heard him recount Pacific missions, his voice slow but proud. The taser attack. It's not just cruelty. It's a wound to the legacy of men like Joe, men who gave everything for freedom. Without a second's hesitation, Rivera stands. She interrupts the meeting. She feels a heavy duty, not just to save Joe, but to restore his dignity. With one call, she activates emergency protocols, She contacts the Secretary of Defense, the FBI, the Justice Department, her voice icy yet resolute. Just 6 minutes later, a convoy of black SUVs slices through Atlanta's crowded streets. Their flashing lights blaze. They head straight for Piedmont General Hospital. The engines roar. It's a declaration that injustice to Joe won't be ignored. In the lead vehicle, FBI Special Agent Michael Hayes, a tall man with a stern face. He grips a dossier. His heart seethes with outrage at Officer Ryan Carter's actions. Beside him, military investigators, and Colonel Rivera herself. She boarded a military flight from D.C. right after the call. For Rivera, this trip isn't just duty. It's a vow to veterans like Joe, men she sees as family. The convoy's arrival stuns locals. Curious eyes follow from sidewalks. No one expects a bus stop incident to trigger such a response. At the hospital, Joe lies in a bed. His frail body trembles from the electric shock's lingering pain. Red burns on his skin. His muscles seize. Each breath is a battle. But in Joe's mind, physical pain pales beside worry over his disrupted routine. He thinks of his veterans' hospital appointment, of nurses who've become friends, of bus number 19 he rides weekly. Joe's resilience, forged through wartime years, it keeps him from complaining. Instead, he wonders if he can call to apologize for missing his visit. The image of his late wife, Anna, it flickers in his mind. Her gentle smile seems to say, he's faced worse. But deep down, Joe feels sorrow, not for himself, but for the thought that younger generations may no longer value his and his comrades' sacrifices. Dr. Laura Patel, Joe's attending physician. She stands by his bedside, her heart heavy. Experienced with elderly patients, Laura sees the grave risk. At 93, the shock could cause heart complications or fractures. She marvels at Joe's mental strength, at how he keeps a calm voice while asking about his missed appointment. But inside Laura, anger simmers. She thinks of her own grandfather, a military veteran. She wonders how a hero like Joe could be treated this way. Each time she checks Joe's pulse, Laura feels an unspoken duty, not just to heal his body, but to protect his dignity. She meticulously documents Joe's condition. She knows these details will be evidence in a larger fight. Meanwhile, in Washington, Rivera presses on. She pictures Joe's face. She recalls his steadfast gaze when he spoke of B-24 missions. To her, Joe embodies a fading generation, each veteran a living book, irreplaceable. This incident, in Rivera's mind, it's not just Carter's personal failure. It's a sign of a system that's failed to honor men like Joe. She makes relentless calls. She coordinates with federal agencies. She ensures a swift, forceful response. In her heart, a fire burns, not just for Joe, but for all veterans being forgotten. The 6 minutes from the call to the SUV's arrival, it's not just bureaucracy. It's a declaration of war on injustice, a promise that Joe's dignity will be restored. His story will echo across America. News of Joseph Callahan's tragedy races to the highest echelons of power. Its speed mirrors the urgency of this injustice. In Washington, D.C., President Elizabeth Warren sits in a morning security briefing, her mind already weighed down by national issues. An aide whispers about Joe, a 93-year-old World War II veteran tasered at an Atlanta bus stop. Warren's heart clenches. She sees in Joe not just a victim, but a symbol of the generation that shaped the nation she leads. The image of a frail old man, his body trembling from electric shock, It stirs in her sorrow and resolve. She thinks of her own grandfather, a Navy veteran, his stories told with quiet pride. For Warren, Joe's pain is personal, a wound on the nation's conscience. Without hesitation, she orders her team to prepare a flight to Atlanta. She will meet Joe, look into his eyes, apologize on behalf of a country that failed him. In that moment, Warren feels a fire ignite, a determination to ensure Joe's pain sparks change. By midday, President Warren's motorcade halts at Piedmont General Hospital. Secret Service agents and reporters trail behind. In Joe's hospital room, the air is heavy. Medical machines hum softly. Joe lies in bed, his gaunt frame propped on pillows. IV lines weave across his arm. His chest rises with labored breaths. Burns from the taser leave red patches on his skin. His muscles ache from convulsions, yet his eyes still gleam with unshakable strength. As Warren enters, Joe's first instinct is to sit up. His soldier's bearing endures despite the pain. His hands, trembling but careful, adjust the blanket as if preparing to salute. The gesture pierces Warren's heart. She sees in Joe the embodiment of duty, a man who flew 32 Pacific missions, bore the weight of war, now carries the scars of an unjust peace. Standing by his bed, her voice soft but firm, she vows his pain won't be in vain. In her mind, this isn't just an apology. It's a pledge to protect the dignity of every veteran like Joe. Warren's presence in the room marks a turning point. She announces the Joseph Callahan Veteran Protection Act. It mandates police training on interacting with the elderly and veterans. The act will ensure no officer repeats Ryan Carter's mistake, the man who ignited this storm. Warren's words carry the weight of her office. Yet they hold the sincerity of a leader moved by Joe's resilience. She thinks of countless veterans, fading into obscurity, their stories untold. She feels a pang of guilt that it took a tragedy to bring them to light. For Joe, the president's visit is both overwhelming and humbling. He doesn't see himself as a hero deserving this attention. He's just a man who did his duty. But as Warren speaks, he feels a spark of pride, not for himself, but for the chance his pain might shield others. Meanwhile, consequences for Ryan Carter come swiftly. They are severe. The young officer, once fueled by a sense of power, now faces his career's collapse. Suspended immediately, Carter sits in his apartment. His mind replays the incident. Regret gnaws at him, not just for his actions, but for realizing he misjudged a man whose life embodies courage he can scarcely fathom. The weight of his error grows heavier. He learns of Joe's heroic past, each detail a rebuke of his hasty act. Months later, a federal court sentences Carter to 3 years in prison. It's for violating Joe's civil rights. The verdict is a public reckoning. It signals such actions won't be tolerated. Carter's remorse is genuine, but it comes too late to undo the damage. In his heart, he carries the image of Joe's trembling hand reaching for the pilot's badge, a moment that will haunt him for years. Under Justice Department oversight, the Atlanta Police Department faces a complete overhaul. Use of force policies are rewritten. De-escalation training becomes a cornerstone of officer education. The video of Joe's attack, once a viral symbol of outrage, becomes a mandatory training tool for recruits nationwide. It's shown in classrooms. The image of Joe's frail body collapsing sears into officers' minds. For the department, reform isn't just procedure. It's a cultural shift. It stems from recognizing every citizen, especially the elderly, deserves respect. These changes are painful but necessary. They're a tribute to Joe's unwitting role as a catalyst for justice. In the hospital, Joe's thoughts remain simple. He worries about his missed veterans' hospital appointment, about the routine anchoring his days. But as news of the president's visit and the new act spreads, he feels a quiet purpose. He doesn't crave the spotlight, but if his story can protect others, he's willing to endure. Anna's image flickers in his mind. Her gentle encouragement urges him on. Joe's heart, though frail, beats with resolve. His pain has ignited a movement. It echoes beyond Atlanta. It ensures no veteran will face such indignity again. Despite physical and emotional scars, Joe Callahan chooses the path of forgiveness. From his hospital bed, he speaks to the media, his voice weak but resolute. He doesn't want Carter destroyed. He hopes this incident teaches young officers to respect the elderly. Joe's words, broadcast live on CNN, touch the hearts of millions of Americans. After recovering, Joe becomes an advocate. He travels to police departments. He shares his story. He helps officers understand that every elderly person carries a story worth honoring. He's awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal. Dozens of surviving World War II veterans attend. Joe's legacy isn't just the act named for him. It's how he turns pain into a lesson in compassion. Every Wednesday and Friday, Joe still rides bus number 19, but now, drivers and passengers know him as a symbol of resilience, a reminder to America that aging heroes deserve reverence. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to let me know in the comments where you're watching from, what time it is for you. It's always exciting to see someone join us from all corners of the world. Comment 1 if you found this story compelling. It'll inspire us to bring you more stories like this.